I've discussed that one of the time killers during the off season is NHL video games from EA Sports, and I agree. EA is like the all powerful evil of the world, and they ruin everything. But there's no other option right now for gamers. So when I play the game, obviously there's certain order I go in. I always pick the Canucks first. I always take the Canucks to the Stanley Cup. Then I do the same with the Bruins, and then I do the same with the Stars, or over here as I wrote it, just duh. So, like, obviously, that's what I do. But then I'm bored. So you go into season two, and your eyes kind of glass over, at least for me, if I'm playing it, not as GM, where I'm just simming everything, and I'm just simming through the whole thing. And it's like, all right, well, I got to do something else because this game's here and I paid a lot of money for it. At least to me, $70 for a game is a lot of money. I know to you youngins, you're like, $70, guy, you got all these microtransactions. Those are the devil. So what I do usually next is I'll go random. So sometimes I pick the Senators next, and people who are like, well, wait, what about the Senators? Sometimes I pick the Senators next, take them to the Stanley Cup. But usually what I'll do is I'll go to the screen where you're picking a team, and I'll just start clicking through, and then I'll close my eyes and let go, and I look at the screen and I go, all right. And it'll often be Pittsburgh or St. Louis or Detroit or somebody that I wouldn't have picked. And so then I'll do my best to put that team together and get them to a Stanley Cup. And then number 5 is a team that I can't stand. So it used to be 4 or 5 years ago, it would be all right. I'll be Toronto, and I would do it, and I would grip my teeth and bring them to a Stanley Cup. And I don't know why I do it, but it's something I do. So this is for when I'm playing through. Okay, for when I'm actually playing the game and got to get some Stanley Cups going on here. Now, for fantasy draft, and when I do fantasy draft, I sim. I sim or I watch. And I like watching the games because I find that a lot of fun. There was one year that I learned, and I'll go through these here. I learned that watching can be just as rewarding as playing if you watch it like you're a scout. And you'll notice certain players aren't playing particularly well. I've even noticed when I sim, so when I'm simulating games, I will look after the game at who's getting the pluses and the minuses. And if I see one guy's just got a horrible plus minus, I trade him. And 9 times out of 10, my team's record gets better because they're like, yeah, this guy doesn't fit this team. The first thing I do with fantasy draft is what I call the all garbage team. So what I mean is you go through and you pick guys who are older and broken down, guys who have almost no ceiling whatsoever. You pick an entire team of players that you know are not going to play. The challenge of that is after you're done, after the fantasy draft is done, now try to make the team better. After 1 year of bad. So usually what I'll do is I'll simulate and they'll win like maybe 10 games. The game doesn't like teams to end up with no wins. I have tried having teams that are just absolutely awful and they still at least win about 10 games. The game goes, yeah, nah, they got to win something. And it'll usually be over a contender, too. And you're like, wait, no, that would not work. The other option, number 2, I go with all Euros. So where I'm picking only guys from the European leagues while all the NHL players are being picked up. You know what? The all Euro team usually does relatively well. And it is fun to have the all Euro team because you'll find guys who you otherwise would have thought, well, they're not going to be very good in the game. But when you are watching the game, again, when you're simulating, they're not going to be great. But again, the record is going to be better than the all garbage team. It's fun to see players that you never see in the NHL in the game and see them against NHLers and see them get goals and wins and whatnot. And you may discover a goaltender that in the game is actually pretty good that in reality may not be that great. I have discovered guys just because I thought they had a fun name. And there was one, I'm trying to think if it was Marco, but it was Ludman. And Ludman, every time he scored, pretty sure he was from the German league, every time he scored, the announcer would say his name, and the fans would echo it. They would say his name too. I thought that was so much fun. And again, if I didn't do the All Euro, I would have had no idea that soundbite was in there. Third is all junior, and this is tricky. So you're drafting all the kids, all the youngest, so all your 19 and 20-year-olds. Again, I try to draft only the ones with low ceilings. With the idea that, well, they're kids, so they'll get better. They usually don't. So it's similar to the all garbage team, but it's much skinnier and smaller, and you kind of feel like a bully when you see them getting thrown around on the ice, depending on how much hitting you put in the game. I do tend to amp up the hitting. I do tend to enjoy seeing that, but anyways, yeah. And then fourth is all veteran. And you know what's funny? I found when I watch or when I simulate, if I have a team of all veterans, so everybody's 35 or older, they do pretty well. They actually do better than they would in the actual NHL. Their goal scoring will usually be pretty good. Their goaltending will usually be pretty good. And I had an all veteran team. I want to say NHL 2012 because I played that game a lot. Um, I want to say NHL 2012, that veteran team actually won the Stanley Cup the first year. And I just sat there in shock because I was like, I'm going to grab all the old guys. This is going to be funny. And they won the cup. And I was like, how did this happen? And, they were good veterans, but they were all past their prime. And yet you put them all together and the game goes, okay, they win the Stanley Cup. Obviously for these, I turn the salary cap off. So I don't have to worry about my all junior team not getting to the cap floor, and I don't have to worry about my veteran team blowing up the cap and being worth $100 million. And the Euros, it's kind of all over the place with their value contract wise. It's one thing that I think that the game back then, and I haven't really researched the new game about this, but the values of contracts for Euros, it seems to be kind of scattered, and I don't know if it's something with what's in the game or it's just it's distracting somewhat. You're like, really, all of them are worth $500,000, all of them. But yeah, that's a fun way to go about it if you're going to do the fantasy draft, and if you're going to simulate, or if you're going to watch. And for people who are wondering, yeah, I'm probably going to get a file going. I'm leaning towards fantasy draft, and then watch the games, and that way, we can do like the standard hangout and a live stream the way we normally do. But it's a fun way to play the game. And I'm thinking, I haven't decided whether I'll do it on this channel, the main channel, or on the Entertainment Guy channel, which is the secondary channel. I'm leaning towards the secondary channel because when I've done NHL video game files on my main channel before, I've had flack thrown at me for it. And I can kind of understand that it's a gaming thing, although I consider it all to be NHL. I think it's all in the same, under the same tent. But yeah, I could throw it on the Entertainment Guy channel, and that would work with the video game playing I already do on there with Grand Theft Auto. So, yeah, this is what I'm leaning towards is doing a fantasy draft and do this one, or all Euro. And I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking either one or two. If I do all Euro, that's kind of fun because then for European fans of my channel, they get to see the European players in the NHL game, and I'm sure that for Europeans that get the NHL games, I'm sure they do that, where they switch out teams. For a while, EA made it so you couldn't switch out teams, and I don't understand that. And I like playing the GM mode, but man, I miss Dynasty. I really miss how in depth and how well done the offline modes were in games. And now it's just all go online so you can buy Mario Lemieux. Go online so you can buy our team of the week. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. This is what I get the game for. This is why I don't play online. I don't get into any of that crap. I don't want to sit and do microtransactions to try to buy players that I already have in this version of the game. I still don't understand the logic of that. And I mean that. I don't understand other than it's a cash grab. I paid $70 for a game. Leave me alone. Anyways, let me know how you like to do this. As I'm sure guys have other ideas for this who've been playing it for... I've been playing this for 15 years. So I need something because it gets kind of boring. It gets kind of repetitive and tedious. And let me know which teams you play. Am I the only one that does a team that I hate? Where you go, you know what? For giggles, I'm gonna GM a team that I can't stand. Am I the only one that does that? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happen upon this video, and also let me know does it work better on this channel, on the other channel? Be interested to know what you guys think. I'll talk to you again soon.